I never thought I would be sharing this story, but sometimes life takes unexpected turns. 5 years of marriage gone in an instant when my ex-wife decided our vows meant nothing. Little did I know that our divorce was just the beginning. When she sued me for supposedly hiding assets, she had no idea I had receipts for everything. The judge was not pleased with her lies. Where are you watching from today? If this is your first time here, hit that like and subscribe button to join our community of justice seekers. I met Amanda at a tech conference in San Francisco back in 2015. I was 33, working as a software engineer for a promising startup, and she caught my eye immediately. Amanda worked in finance, analyzing investments for a large bank downtown. She had this confidence about her that was magnetic. Long brown hair, sharp blue eyes that seemed to see right through you, and a smile that could light up the entire conference hall. Our first conversation happened at an after-party. I gathered my courage and approached her while she was alone at the bar. To my surprise, she had actually noticed me during one of my presentations earlier that day. We talked for hours about technology trends, financial markets, and our shared love for Anthony Bourdain travel shows. By the end of the night, I had her number and a promise for dinner that weekend. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant near Fisherman Wharf. I remember being nervous, changing my outfit 3 times before leaving my apartment. Amanda showed up in a simple black dress that made her look like she had just stepped off a magazine cover. The conversation flowed effortlessly. We discovered we both loved hiking, trying new recipes, and had the same taste in movies. By the third date, I was already thinking this could be something special. Amanda was not just beautiful, but incredibly smart. She could talk about complex financial concepts in a way that made them fascinating. When she explained market trends, her eyes would light up with genuine passion. I found myself wanting to impress her to match her intellect and drive. After dating for about 8 months, we decided to move in together. It made sense financially, and we were spending most nights together anyway. We found a nice 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood we both liked. Combining our lives was surprisingly easy. Our furniture styles complemented each other, and we quickly established comfortable routines. 2 years after our first meeting, I proposed during a weekend trip to Napa Valley. I had arranged a private sunset hot air balloon ride. As we floated above the vineyards bathed in golden light, I got down on one knee in that tiny basket and asked her to marry me. She cried, said yes, and the balloon operator popped a bottle of champagne he had hidden for the occasion. Our wedding was everything we had hoped for. Not too big, not too small. About 100 guests at a renovated barn venue outside the city. Amanda looked stunning in her dress, and I remember getting emotional as she walked down the aisle. We wrote our own vows, promising to support each other, to be partners in all things, to face life together no matter what challenges came our way. With both of our careers progressing well, we decided to buy a house about a year after the wedding. I had been saving diligently since before we met, and had enough for a substantial down payment. Amanda contributed what she could, though it was considerably less. I never minded the imbalance. We were a team, and I was proud to be able to provide this for us. The house was a charming 3-bedroom craftsman style in a good school district. Neither of us was ready for kids yet, but we liked having the option for the future. We spent weekends painting walls, installing new fixtures, and making the place truly ours. Those were happy days full of laughter and dreams about our future. At work, things were going extremely well for me. The startup I worked for was gaining traction, and I was promoted to lead a team of developers. The new position came with more responsibilities, longer hours sometimes, but also a significant pay increase and stock options. Amanda seemed genuinely proud of my success, celebrating each milestone with dinner at our favorite restaurants. From the beginning, we had agreed on a financial system that seemed fair. We had a joint account for household expenses to which we contributed proportionally based on our incomes. We also maintained separate personal accounts for discretionary spending. Additionally, I continued contributing to my investment account that predated our relationship. Amanda knew about this account and its approximate value. We had discussed it openly during our financial planning sessions. As time went on, I noticed a shift in our spending patterns. Amanda began shopping more frequently, buying designer clothes and expensive accessories. She upgraded her car to a luxury model that stretched our budget. When I gently raised concerns, she would dismiss them, saying I was being too cautious, or that we deserved to enjoy the fruits of our hard work. Our vacations became more lavish as well. Where we once would have been happy with a cabin by a lake, Amanda now pushed for five-star resorts in exotic locations. I went along with it wanting to make her happy, though I worried about the long-term impact on our financial goals. I noticed her credit card statements showing increasingly large balances. The first serious argument about money happened after 3 years of marriage. Amanda had spent $4,000 on a handbag without discussing it with me. When I expressed concern, she became defensive, accusing me of monitoring her too closely and not trusting her judgment. The fight lasted for days, with periods of tense silence broken by renewed arguments. After that, things began to change in subtle ways. Amanda became more distant. She started coming home late from work, claiming client meetings or drinks with colleagues. She became protective of her phone, always keeping it face down, and taking calls in another room. I noticed she had added a passcode, something she had never done before. I suggested we see a marriage counselor, sensing that we were drifting apart. Amanda flat out refused, saying there was nothing wrong that could not be fixed if I just worked less and paid more attention to her. The irony was painful. I was working hard to support the lifestyle she wanted, only to be accused of neglecting her. One evening, while paying bills, I discovered an unusual charge on our credit card statement. A hotel room in the city on a night when Amanda had told me she was visiting her friend Tara in Oakland. When I asked her about it, she became angry, accusing me of spying on her. She claimed it was a room she booked for a colleague visiting from out of town, a favor for her boss. The explanation felt hollow, but I wanted to believe her. Over the next few weeks, I found more concerning signs. Shopping bags hidden in her car, receipts for dinners on nights she claimed to be working late, a credit card statement sent to our house that I had never seen before, showing a balance of nearly $20,000. When I tried to discuss these discoveries, Amanda would deflect, change the subject, or pick a fight about something unrelated. Our home, once a haven of happiness, became a battleground of unspoken accusations and mounting resentment. I began to wonder if our marriage could be saved. Everything changed on a Tuesday morning in April. I received a text message from a number I did not recognize. It simply read, "You should know your wife has been sleeping with me for the past 8 months. I thought you deserved to know. Sorry, man." I sat at my desk at work, staring at my phone in disbelief. My hand shook as I texted back, asking who this was. The reply came quickly. "Jordan Wells. I work with Amanda at the bank. We ended things last night and she did not take it well. I figured she would never tell you." Attached to his next message was a series of screenshots. Intimate conversations between him and Amanda. Plans for their meetups. Photos I could barely bring myself to look at. There was no room for doubt. The evidence was clear and devastating. I left work early, my mind racing. I drove home in a daze, nearly missing my exit. When I arrived, Amanda was not home yet. I sat in our living room, the screenshots open on my phone, waiting. The house that once represented our future now felt like a monument to lies. When she finally arrived around 7:30, I was still sitting in the same spot. She greeted me casually, asking about my day as she set down her bags. I did not answer. Instead, I held up my phone, showing her the first message from Jordan. The color drained from her face. She started to speak, then stopped, then tried again. "Who contacted you?" she finally managed. Not a denial, not even an attempt at one. "Does it matter?" I asked. "Is it true, Amanda?" She sank onto the couch across from me. "It is not what you think," she began, but I cut her off. 8 months, Amanda. 8 months of lying to my face every day. The dam broke then. She admitted to the affair, but quickly turned it around, blaming me for being emotionally unavailable, for working too much, for not giving her the attention she deserved. According to Amanda, I had pushed her into Jordan's arms. She painted herself as the victim, even in her confession. The argument escalated quickly. Years of unspoken frustrations poured out from both sides. I brought up her spending habits, the secrecy, the credit cards I did not know about. She countered with accusations about my emotional distance, my focus on saving rather than living. Two people who once loved each other reduced to hurling painful truths and half-truths across the living room. "I am leaving," she finally announced. "Jordan and I are moving in together. I was going to tell you next week." I laughed without humor. "How considerate of you to plan it out." She packed a suitcase that night. I watched numbly as she selected items from our shared life to take with her. Before she left, she paused at the door. I will have my lawyer contact yours about the divorce, she said, as if discussing a business transaction. And then she was gone. The next few weeks passed in a blur of pain and practical matters. I contacted a lawyer, Benjamin Taylor, who came highly recommended for handling complicated divorces. Benjamin was in his 50s with a calm demeanor that helped ground me during our meetings. Our goal, Benjamin explained during our first consultation, is to make this as straightforward and equitable as possible. Washington is a community property state, which means assets acquired during marriage are typically split 50-50, but separate property remains separate. I provided him with all our financial records, including documentation of my investment account that predated the marriage, the down payment I had made on our house, and the substantial inheritance I had received from my grandfather 2 years prior, which I had kept in a separate account, as Benjamin had advised was common practice. You have been meticulous with your record-keeping, Benjamin noted with approval. That will serve us well. We attempted to negotiate a reasonable settlement. I was willing to split the equity in our house, divide our joint accounts, and part ways without further drama. I had no desire to punish Amanda, despite the pain she had caused. I just wanted to move forward. Amanda, however, had other ideas. Her lawyer, Jessica Wilson, sent over settlement demands that were shocking in their audacity. She wanted 60% of all assets, including my premarital investment account and my inheritance. She claimed she had sacrificed career advancement to support my career, despite the fact that she had received 2 promotions during our marriage. When I reviewed the demands with Benjamin, he shook his head. This is not reasonable or in line with state law. I suggest we prepare for a more contentious process than I had hoped. While gathering additional documentation, I discovered something disturbing. Amanda had withdrawn nearly $30,000 from our joint account in the 3 months before she left. When I checked our investment portfolio, I found that she had also sold some stocks without discussion, moving the money to an account I could not trace. As the divorce proceedings continued, I learned that Amanda and Jordan relationship was already showing signs of strain. A mutual friend reluctantly told me that they argued constantly, primarily about money. Apparently, Jordan's lifestyle did not match what Amanda had grown accustomed to with me. This information did not bring me joy, just a tired sense of validation. We attempted mediation, sitting across from each other in a sterile conference room. Amanda looked different already. More makeup, designer clothes that I knew she could not afford on her salary alone. She barely made eye contact during the session. The mediator, a former family court judge, tried to guide us toward a fair resolution. He explained the likely outcome if we went to court based on state law and precedent. Amanda remained unmoved, insisting on her original demands. My client has evidence of financial impropriety, Jessica claimed halfway through the session. Mr. Thompson has been hiding assets and understating his income. I was stunned by the accusation. Benjamin requested specific allegations, which Jessica refused to provide, calling it information that would be revealed during discovery. The mediation ended without resolution. As we left, Benjamin placed a hand on my shoulder. They are fishing, he said quietly. They have no evidence, because there is nothing to find. But be prepared for things to get uglier. Tired of the conflict and wanting to move on with my life, I eventually agreed to a settlement that gave Amanda more than she was legally entitled to. She got 45% of our joint assets, including a larger portion of the house equity than was fair given my down payment. In exchange, she dropped the vague allegations of financial misconduct. The divorce was finalized in February. I sold our house, unable to bear living there with its memories. I found a smaller place closer to work and tried to rebuild my life. I focused on my job, spent time with friends who had stood by me, and even started therapy to process the betrayal and its aftermath. Slowly, I began to heal. 6 months after our divorce was finalized, just as I was beginning to feel like myself again, a courier delivered an envelope that would throw my life back into chaos. Inside was a summons. Amanda was suing me for fraud, claiming I had hidden substantial assets during our divorce proceedings. The complaint alleged that I had a secret offshore account containing hundreds of thousands of dollars undeclared income from consulting work and had undervalued my company's stock options. She was demanding half of these supposedly hidden assets plus punitive damages and attorney fees. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. The allegations were completely fabricated. Every account I owned had been disclosed. Every dollar of income had been documented. I had been transparent throughout the entire divorce process. I called Benjamin immediately. This is harassment. I told him, my voice shaking with anger. She is making things up to extort more money from me. Stay calm, Benjamin advised. This is not uncommon, unfortunately. Divorce is final, so she is trying another angle. But false accusations and illegal filing are serious. We will fight this, and if the claims are as baseless as you say, she may come to regret this action. We arranged to meet the following day to go over the complaint in detail and plan our response. That night, I could barely sleep. I reviewed mental inventories of all my accounts, all my assets, searching for anything that could possibly have been misinterpreted or overlooked. There was nothing. The lawsuit was built on fiction. In Benjamin's office the next morning, we meticulously went through each allegation. The offshore account she claimed existed in the Cayman Islands was completely imaginary. The consulting work she referenced I had never performed. The stock options had been valued by an independent financial analyst during the divorce. What is her endgame here? I asked Benjamin. She must know these claims cannot be substantiated. Benjamin leaned back in his chair, considering. Based on my experience, I suspect financial desperation. The lawsuit itself is weak, but it might be designed to pressure you into a settlement to avoid the hassle and expense of fighting it. I will not give her another penny, I said firmly. Not when every claim is a lie. Then we fight, Benjamin said with a nod. And we start by investigating what is really going on in her life that prompted this. Benjamin hired a private investigator, Grace Martinez, to look into Amanda's current financial situation. Grace was thorough and discreet, a former financial crimes detective with a network of contacts in the banking industry. Within 2 weeks, Grace had compiled a revealing report. Amanda and Jordan were in serious financial trouble. Jordan had lost his job at the bank 3 months earlier, apparently due to ethical violations involving client accounts. Amanda's own spending had not decreased, despite their reduced household income. They had maxed out multiple credit cards and taken out high-interest loans to maintain their lifestyle. Even more significantly, Grace discovered that Amanda had not been honest during our divorce. She had a separate bank account I never knew about, opened 2 years into our marriage. Regular transfers had been made from our joint account to this secret account, then moved elsewhere in a way designed to hide the money trail. This could change everything, Benjamin said when we reviewed the findings. She accused you of hiding assets while she was actually doing exactly that. If we can prove this was intentional and not disclosed during the divorce, we might have grounds for more than just dismissing her lawsuit. I remembered something then. During our marriage, I had maintained digital backups of all our financial records. I had an external hard drive in my desk drawer with years of statements, including those from the joint account Amanda had been siphoning from. I also realized I might still have access to our shared cloud storage, where other records were kept. That evening, I dug through the old records, finding clear evidence of the systematic transfers Amanda had made. Regular withdrawals, always just under $5,000, moved to the account Grace had discovered. I also found emails between Amanda and a financial advisor I never knew she was working with, discussing investment strategies for private funds she wanted to keep separate. I turned everything over to Benjamin, who brought in a forensic accountant to analyze the money trail. The findings were damning. Over the course of our 5-year marriage, Amanda had diverted nearly $180,000 from our joint assets. None of this had been disclosed during the divorce proceedings. Benjamin filed a robust response to Amanda's lawsuit, denying all allegations and countersuing for fraud and perjury based on the new evidence. He also filed a motion to reopen the divorce settlement based on her failure to disclose significant assets. Amanda's lawyer requested an emergency meeting after receiving our filings. I attended with Benjamin, curious to see how they would respond to the evidence we had uncovered. Jessica Wilson looked uncomfortable while Amanda appeared both angry and frightened. My client is willing to withdraw her lawsuit if Mr. Thompson will agree not to pursue his countersuit. Jessica offered without preamble. Benjamin smiled thinly. I am afraid we are well beyond that point, counselor. Your client made serious false allegations in a legal filing. She committed perjury during divorce proceedings by failing to disclose substantial assets. We will be pursuing this to the fullest extent of the law. Amanda leaned forward, her face flushed. This is ridiculous. You are trying to bankrupt me out of spite. No, Amanda. I said the first words I had spoken directly to her in months. I am simply insisting on the truth, something you should have considered before filing a fraudulent lawsuit. The meeting ended without resolution, and we proceeded toward trial. The weeks that followed were intense. Both sides filed motions and counter-motions. Amanda tried to have evidence excluded, claiming I had obtained it illegally. The judge denied her motion when Benjamin demonstrated that all records came from accounts I had legal access to. Finally, the day of the trial arrived. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, wood-paneled and formal. Judge Sarah Rodriguez presided, a no-nonsense woman with 20 years on the bench and a reputation for seeing through deception. Amanda and Jessica presented their case first. They had created elaborate charts showing supposed discrepancies in my financial disclosures during the divorce. Jessica spoke confidently about hidden accounts and undeclared income, painting me as a calculating financial manipulator who had deliberately cheated Amanda out of her fair share. Throughout their presentation, Judge Rodriguez asked pointed questions, particularly about the sources of their information. Jessica was vague, referring to financial analysis and industry standards, rather than concrete evidence. When it was our turn, Benjamin was methodical. He dismantled each allegation with clear documentation showing every account had been properly disclosed, every dollar of income reported. The judge nodded, occasionally taking notes. Then came our counterattack. Benjamin presented evidence of Amanda's undisclosed account, the regular transfers, and the subsequent investments. He showed emails where Amanda explicitly discussed keeping these funds hidden from me. The courtroom was silent, except for the occasional tap of Judge Rodriguez's pen. The pivotal moment came when Benjamin called a surprise witness, Jordan. I had no idea Benjamin had contacted him. Jordan looked uncomfortable as he took the stand, avoiding eye contact with both Amanda and me. Under oath, Jordan testified that Amanda had approached him initially because she knew he worked in private banking and could help her hide assets from me. Their affair had begun as a financial conspiracy before becoming romantic. He admitted that after their relationship soured, Amanda had pressured him to help with the lawsuit against me, promising him a share of any settlement. "And why are you testifying today, Mr. Wells?" Benjamin asked. Jordan glanced at Amanda, who was glaring at him with undisguised hatred. "Because I am already facing ethical violations that cost me my banking career. I do not need perjury charges on top of that." Amanda's attorney tried to damage Jordan's credibility during cross-examination, but the documentation supported his testimony. Judge Rodriguez appeared particularly interested in emails between Amanda and Jordan, where they explicitly discussed the lawsuit as a way to solve their financial problems. In her closing argument, Jessica attempted to reframe the narrative, suggesting that any financial impropriety by Amanda was minor compared to my alleged concealment. Benjamin countered by highlighting that while they had produced no concrete evidence against me, we had provided irrefutable proof of Amanda's deliberate fraud. Judge Rodriguez took only a brief recess before delivering her ruling. Her expression was stern as she addressed the court. "Having reviewed all evidence presented, this court finds the plaintiff claims to be without merit and potentially fraudulent in nature. The lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice." She then addressed the countersuit. "Evidence clearly shows that Ms. Thompson deliberately concealed assets during divorce proceedings and has now brought false claims against the defendant. This court orders her to pay all legal fees incurred by Mr. Thompson in defending this frivolous lawsuit." The judge paused, looking directly at Amanda. "Additionally, I am referring this matter to the district attorney office for potential perjury charges. Court is adjourned." As we left the courtroom, I felt no joy in the victory, only relief that the ordeal was finally over. Amanda stormed past without looking at me, Jessica hurrying to keep up with her. "You did well," Benjamin said, as we walked to the parking lot. The judge saw through everything. "What happens now?" I asked. "She will have to pay your legal fees, which are substantial. The DA may or may not pursue perjury charges, but the threat alone is significant. Most importantly, you can truly move on now." I nodded, feeling a weight lifting that I had carried for too long. The aftermath of the trial brought consequences I never could have anticipated. Amanda was ordered to pay over $45,000 in legal fees. When she failed to make payments, further legal actions were necessary, resulting in wage garnishment. The district attorney did investigate the perjury allegations, though they ultimately decided to settle rather than pursue criminal charges. Amanda agreed to community service and a substantial fine. The legal proceedings became known at her workplace, damaging her professional reputation. Within months, she was asked to resign from her position. I later heard through mutual friends that Jordan broke things off permanently after the trial. Apparently, the stress of the lawsuit and its aftermath was too much for their already strained relationship. Amanda was left alone, financially struggling and professionally compromised. As for me, the victory in court provided closure, but not immediate healing. In the quiet evenings after the drama ended, I found myself sitting alone in my new apartment, feeling hollowed out. The betrayal, the accusations, the public airing of our private lives had taken a toll I was only beginning to understand. On the recommendation of a friend, I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Allen. Our weekly sessions became an anchor, as I processed the anger, grief, and lingering trust issues. What you experienced was a profound betrayal on multiple levels. Dr. Allen explained during one session, not just the infidelity, but the financial deception, and then the false accusations. It is natural to feel hesitant about trusting again. Gradually, I rebuilt my life. I poured energy into my work, earning a promotion to Director of Engineering. The professional success was satisfying, but I made sure to maintain better balance than before, making time for friends and hobbies I had neglected during my marriage. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. Weekly basketball games with a neighborhood group. Cooking classes I had always wanted to try. A hiking club that explored trails throughout the Pacific Northwest. Bit by bit, my world expanded beyond the narrow focus it had during the worst of the divorce and lawsuit. 8 months after the trial, my company opened a new office in Seattle. I volunteered for the transfer, attracted by the idea of a fresh start in a new city. The move was cathartic. New apartment, new routines, new surroundings without memories attached to them. In Seattle, through a work conference, I met Lisa. She was a project manager for a client company, smart and straightforward in a way that was refreshing after years of deception. Our first conversations were purely professional, but I found myself looking forward to project meetings when she would be present. After one such meeting, Lisa suggested coffee to discuss a potential collaboration. Coffee led to lunch. Lunch eventually led to dinner. Unlike my whirlwind romance with Amanda, this relationship developed slowly, thoughtfully. I was hesitant at first, the wounds still healing. I found myself watching for red flags that were not there. Lisa noticed my guardedness and asked about it directly. Taking a risk, I shared a condensed version of my experience. Her response was compassion, without pity, understanding, without judgment. Trust has to be rebuilt slowly, she said. I am not in any hurry. That simple statement was more reassuring than any grand promise could have been. As our relationship progressed, we established clear communication about finances and expectations. Lisa was as transparent as she expected me to be, sharing her financial situation, her past relationships, her hopes for the future. The most important lesson from my experience with Amanda was not about protecting assets or documenting transactions, though those were certainly valuable takeaways. The real lesson was about the fundamental importance of honesty in relationships. No amount of love can compensate for a foundation built on deception. I also learned about resilience, about the capacity to start over when life demolishes the future you had planned. There is a unique strength that comes from having your worst fears realized and discovering that you can survive them, even grow from them. Today, 3 years after the trial, my life bears little resemblance to what it was. I am engaged to Lisa, planning a small, intimate wedding, nothing like my first. We bought a house together, making all financial decisions as equal partners with complete transparency. I lead a team at a company I believe in, doing work that challenges and fulfills me. Sometimes I think about Amanda and feel a complex mix of emotions. The anger has mostly faded, replaced by a distant sadness for what could have been, and gratitude for what I discovered about myself through the ordeal. I hope she has found her way to a better path, though we have had no contact since the courtroom. If there is wisdom I could offer others facing betrayal or unfair accusations, it would be this document. Everything: stand firm in your truth and trust that justice, while sometimes slow, does eventually come. The process may leave scars, but they fade with time, leaving behind a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Have you ever had to stand your ground when falsely accused? What helped you get through it? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear that they can survive their own storms. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember that sometimes our hardest trials lead us to our greatest blessings.